I'm Deidre Tyler. I'm a sociologist and also an instructional technologist. And I have been engaged with teaching and learning from over the web, face-to-face, two-way television. Any way you can teach, I have taught. So I have been doing this for approximately 20 years, and now I know everybody's involved with the flipped classroom. And this is what we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to have you engage with a lot of activities looking at the flipped classroom. Please Twitter me. Okay, what is the flipped classroom? You're posting a video of yourself on the Canvas system with you lecturing to your students about information. Now, a flipped classroom is not just posting the information online. It is giving information to students, and there are three models. You could have a flipped classroom where you have half of your lectures online, half face-to-face, and various other types of discussions. So I don't want you to think that this is all it's all about, because everybody's engaged in the flipped classroom. What are our students today? Who are they? What can we say about our new students? That's what I'm going to cover. And then groups in Canvas. We're flipping the class. What does this mean? We're giving students another opportunity to learn. Many people now, because of the way society has gotten, they are unable to get to the campus every day, twice a week. So we're giving them an option. So we have many different options for students today. When we're looking at what a flipped classroom is not, this is coming from the Canvas. It's not just uploading something, okay? You're not just uploading a file and posting it there. You have got to think outside the box. What are you going to do with this file with your class? Are you going to have them listen to that information, discuss the information, post additional information, do more research? It is open. Canvas is the place to be. Okay, a lot of people say it's going to replace teachers. No, it's not. It is an enhancement of what you're already doing. Now, are you going to become more in tune with your students? Yes. You will be able to do more individualized learning, which I am applauding, because maybe somebody may need help with writing. You're there to help coach them. Somebody may need help doing something else, and you're there to help them. It's not just embedding files. You know, some people are saying, well, I can just post my PowerPoint, I can just post this, and that's all to it. That's going to be a very sad flipped classroom. People won't be learning anything. They won't be doing anything. Is it a solution to all of our problems concerning education? No, it is not. We know one aspect of education right now. Everything is very, very costly. It is costing so much. So what can the flipped classroom do to incorporate that layer in terms of cost, person trying to be educated, cost? Not a solution, but it will help. Active learning. We've heard this term over and over again. What is active learning? What can we do? How can we actively engage people? I can actively engage you right now. And if I don't actively engage you, I will see people walking out, because they don't want to hear a boring person. Actively engagement means providing activities. This is more work, yes. But your classes will be so much better because you have planned what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and how you're going to assist your students. Students can learn anywhere, on a train, on a bus, with their phones. This is the way things are. We're now incorporating information inside of this flipped classroom so students can go anywhere and still be engaged in your class. I'm excited because we've been talking about rich learning activities for a long time, but yet we have not been doing rich learning activities. I don't care what you're teaching or what you're helping someone else teach. If the engagement is not high impact, you're going to lose students. American Association of Colleges and Universities are saying, have more writing inside of your classes. Also, more collaborative work. Canvas is the place to be because you can incorporate all of this. Now, in the flipped classroom, like I said before, it's going to take time. You need to lay out your plan. Step 1, step 2, step 3. You're inspiring your students. Many times people want to quit, but you're there to tell them, let's move on. Let me help you a little bit more so you can go to the next level. We're prodding, we're observing. We're looking at what students are doing. Google Docs. They can do a Google Doc presentation inside of the class as a group. This is very, very engaging. Something I want to bring to your attention. We're always looking at deep learning. But how can we get our students with all of this connectivity to stop back, read a book, look at what we need to do, how we can analyze that information, because everything is so fast-paced now. We want to keep up with 21st century skills. And one of the 21st century skills is working with people over the internet, engaged in a collaborative environment, being polite, understanding different time zones, understanding when work is due. All of those are skills that our students need, and they can be provided with inside of the Canvas course. What is cool? You don't want to be the person with the projector. That's not cool. What about our generation? The people who are 18 younger. Who are these people? I started thinking about this. Who are these people? What are some of the issues that are going on? Because as a sociologist and also instructional technologist, I look at the whole entire aspect of a person to try to help them in their learning environments. And from the Pew Research, we know they are very confident, connected, and open to change. They're open to change? So that means I can provide an activity for them on the fly, and they can come up and engage in that activity. We know they're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all of those things are to be used. One thing I have found out about the new generation, they are procrastinators. They wait until the very last minute. What does that mean for me? Extending my time, or not having a due date, but a due week, or maybe a due 2 weeks to try to engage my students. Because you have to look at the whole aspect. Students are concerned with jobs. Students are working more. Students are looking at what will be the future. What is going on now with jobs? There's a lot of pressure. They're in lots of competition. Money is tight. We know all of these things are going on in the student's mind. And we know gas. This is one of the aspects that we're looking at and we're knowing will really help us with the flipped classroom, because students can't get from point A to point B. Teachers may not be able to get from point A to point B because the gas is going up and up and up. So provide activities for students to do within their classroom, outside of their classroom, and being engaged. Canvas is the place to be. Single parents. Another problem that we're seeing, look at the number of students who have some type of psychological distress. They come in all forms, and we know this is a serious issue. So the flipped classroom can be an environment where we can really help and engage students that are having lots and lots of issues that are going on. Retention. Aren't we hearing that term a lot? How can we retain our students? Oh, yes. The flipped classroom can provide this retention. Measurement of outcomes. Are students staying in the class? Are they leaving? When do they leave? What type of information is happening at the time when they're leaving, and how can you bring them back? Very important. Lots and lots of books, and people are writing and talking about what's going on. If you have not read Brain Rules, do read it. Because within that book, John Medina tells us something. How people are learning. They learn based on chunks of information. Unit 1, Chapter 1, break it down even smaller bits and pieces. And if you don't do it, they will become bored. bringing out their texts, bringing out their computers. They're tuning you out. You won't even have any impact on that student if you don't chunk the information. Bits and pieces. And I'm going to give you some examples at the very end of what I'm talking about with all of this. Within the South Cloud environment, you can chunk information. If you have not viewed that, you can go and look at it and see. Different chapters I have posted. Students can go in, read the information, take a test, instant information. How do I organize my classes? Bits and pieces of information within sequence, first, second, third. And what do I want? I want my students to be critical thinkers. I don't want them to just take this information and move on. Another book. What is the internet doing to our brains? Causing us to think differently. Nicholas Carr talks about this. And within this, he's saying we're gobbling information. We do gobble information every day. Our students are gobbling information, but what information should they gobble and what information should they not? And how can they step back and do the deep learning activities? Flipped classroom will say, let's slow it down. Let's read this chapter. What does it mean, for example, to be a new householder? Householders are increasing. I teach social problems. Householders are increasing. A new shared householder would be defined as a person who's not married to the individual and who's not cohabitating with the individual inside the household, but who's living in that house. So I'm going to bring you up into this flipped classroom environment. 3 people, come up now and tell me, why do you think we're having more people that are in shared households? 3 people, quick. Exercise. People have been sitting and listening and sitting. There's 1 person. 2 more. Right? Why do you think we're having more shared households? And I'm going to tell you what else we're going to do with this. 1 more? Somebody else is coming.
This is so easy. Economy.
Okay, she's saying the economy. Shared expenses. Good. Come on. Both, come on. Student loan debt.
I'm going to go the opposite direction.
Larger houses, fewer children. Okay, now just look at all of these aspects that they have come up with right now. Now, within my class, group 1, you're responsible for looking at larger houses. Group 2, you're going to look at the economy. Group 3, you're going to look at shared expenses, and the last group will look at loans. So you could get inside of your group. We won't have a lot of time to do this today, but then at the very end, come up with how are you going to research this? And then the next level, we're going to post this on your assignment. The next level, we'll put it on your Eportfolio. So we're gobbling information, but we're slowing it down. People are texting. But deep learning, we're bringing people back into this deep learning. What does this mean? How can you get more information from all those sources? Sit down with the student. Many students don't really know what research is. I found that out. I've also found out that the technology is changing to the point where there are more people texting and using iPads, but yet they don't know how to use Word and other aspects. And so we got to bring them back. It's a lot going on. If we look at only the surface level, we're looking at memory, rote. We don't want to do this any longer. We want to avoid failure, outcomes. Okay, deep learning. How can we integrate all of this into our lives and what's going on today? Canvas is the place to be. You can have in your Eportfolio information about your career. You're a student studying accounting, for example, and you're taking social problems. Integrate that knowledge. What does this mean to you? You could have your career portfolio and also your social problems portfolio. Connect your classes together. This is an exciting time to be a teacher because there's so many things that we can do and think outside the box. I'm going to have you listen to a podcast, and I'm going to let you think about these questions at the very end. After you listen to the information, what questions do you have? Because believe it or not, listening is a skill. So when I have you listen to the information, I'll also ask you, develop an assignment based on what you've just heard. Now, where can I put that in Canvas? I'm going to let you answer that question. Where could you put that information in Canvas? Discussions, number one. Assignment. Other places. Pages. Can't hear you. Video. Canvas is the place to be. Discussions, rich content editor. You can embed images, upload videos, upload files, write a collaborative document using Google Docs. Look at all the things that you can do just based on just that. We're looking at reflective learning. Canvas is the place to be because you can also incorporate areas where students can do their private journals through that Eportfolio link where only they can view. Now, I want to talk something about bringing students together within the flip environment without the flip environment. You know, you would think people see each other and they can connect outside of the classroom. I'm finding out that sometimes that's just not going to happen because people are so busy. So how can I bring these students back into the environment? Emails may not be clear when they're working in that environment. They could use the podcast since we have Canvas. Students do not use the podcast media as much as they need to. If we looked and did a report, you would be surprised. They don't use that. For some reason, they don't. But push them to use that when they're working in groups. Provide learning objectives. Let students know exactly what you really want, what's going on inside of your class. Provide a map. Provide a roadmap inside of your syllabus to let them know exactly what's going on. And they can see the assessments, the objectives, the competencies. Let it be clear. Within the virtual group, within your flipped classroom environment, it becomes very important for people to recognize what is a group. How are they aware that they are a group? Invest in the team's success. Within Canvas, you can have the groups. Groups can have their own discussions. They can provide their own information, and they must be accountable for what they do. Now, what are some of the problems and issues within inside of groups? Give me two problems. Accountability. But how is that solved within the Canvas environment? Individual grades. Analytics. You can catch that person that's really not doing everything they need to do within that group environment. So that's solved. Goal setting. Now, okay, let me tell you something. Students are procrastinators. So if they have their topics at the very beginning of the school time, you got to push them along with that topic, because if you don't, they will be 1 week and they will not have completed their assignments. It's very important that you keep them on track. The guide on the side. Make sure they stay on their tasks. And email communication. Now I'm going to move to another segment, and I'm going to have two volunteers come up before I move to this segment and tell us, people who've had a flipped classroom, in 2 minutes' time, tell us what you found inside of your class. Two people who've been in flipped environments. Really quick. Okay, there's one. Come up and tell us.
I didn't do it as successfully, I think, as Deidre does it. What I found is the students do not want to work outside the classroom if you don't prepare them for it. So I got a lot of pushback for, why are you making us do so much outside? That's what class time is for. So that's why I came to listen to Deidre.
Okay, anyone else? Yes, real quick.
If you tell students you're going to do the hard stuff in class, class attendance goes up.
Okay. Do you see where this flip environment can just increase? If they know you're doing something that they need to be there for. If they don't need to be there and it's all online, you won't have many people to show. But you have got to incorporate something that will count. Now let's look at the Canvas system. For people, I know most people know this, but I'm going to show you anyways. You go to people, and this is a dummy class with just students that are not real. All right. Students who are not real are in this environment. And we're going to see the people. You go to people. You go to all the students that you have. And then you go and you're going to assign a new group. You're making a new group. And let's call this Project Group 1. And I like to split my students into groups. They don't know the students. Now, if someone is in a group who really can't be in that group with those students, please move them somewhere else. And you can do that with inside of Canvas. So you see student 12, student 17, student 20, student 9, everybody's in a group. Now, let's just go to Project Group 1. And we're going to see something. With inside of Canvas, that project group will have an opportunity to do their own announcements with inside of Canvas. So they can make an announcement. We need to talk about our discussion about population growth. Okay? Everything is there with inside of Canvas. And if you look at this whole aspect of the Canvas group, with inside of my make-believe class, I also want to show you something else. Have my students go on and look at all the information, and now they're going to do their Eportfolio. So you go to Settings, and you're at Eportfolio. And I have a make-believe Eportfolio there, where students could have all of their information. And let's go to the actual Eportfolio. Here, students can place information here. Let's do the edit page. Let me show you something very interesting. This is just the welcome section. They can upload, they can post, but this is the one I really like, course submission. They've been inside of the course, they've done their work. They can select that, select submission, save the page. And you can go and grade this information. And I'm finding out that this is just so interesting because students can select what they want to show. It's all about evidence. It's all about proof. Show me what you know. Show me the information that you have done that you would like to show me and to show others. Eportfolio within your group environment, they can show that and post it here, and I can come in and look at the information. I do want to show one other aspect of the class, and I know I only have 5 minutes. So if you have any questions, I'll entertain those questions now. Flipped classroom group work. Yes?
If you have groups of students broken out like that, can you set it up some way so they can see the other groups but not interact? Just see products or conversations?
Can you set it up where other groups can see other groups? I have not set it up where other groups can see other groups. I don't think that's possible. They can work within their group environment. And at the end, you could put them maybe on some type of Wimba or big blue board and have everybody engaged online to see work. That could possibly happen.
Yeah, my suggestion would be have them post their final, whatever it is, onto the discussion feature, and then they can share that once you're going outside of Canvas.
Okay, she's saying she uses the discussion where they can post their information there and share it. But if you're looking for a collaborative tool, Google Docs is available, Big Blue Button is available. Those will be some things that will be available for students to share. Other questions? Yes?
Do you allow students to change groups if they don't like that?
Yes, I do. And that's very easy for you to just drag and drop people over. If someone is in a group and there's a problem, or there are some people who just cannot really engage in groups for whatever reason. You understand that, they give you a valid reason, you can do that. Other questions? My last assignment that I'm going to have you do inside of this flipped class is to listen to something and tell me what you're hearing. And I've put this under Pages. Pages is a really good tool that's not utilized as much. You can put lots of information under Pages. You can put your podcasts and other things. Now, I'm not going to let you see the screener. I want you just to listen, and then you'll have some questions.
Today we're talking about marriage and family. What is a family? A group of people related by blood, marriage, or adoption. When we're looking at families today, we're looking at some really interesting statistics. Things have changed and people have changed. Divorce has replaced death as an end point for a majority of marriages today. And text messages are an important way to maintain a relationship. However, the most striking aspect of marriage is the fact that people will eventually marry. And there's a trend towards delaying marriage. When we look at the average age for marriage for men today, it's 28, and for women it's 26. Regardless of the reason, those who delay getting married eventually marry. When we look at the various types of families, the nuclear family is the most common type. It refers to a family that has a husband, wife, child, or children. When we look at other types of families, we need to look at the various types. Extended families include relatives, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins. Within the Asian population, we see a considerable amount of relatives who live in extended family households. One aspect of marriage that is delaying the aspect of people marrying is the fact that people are cohabitating. Cohabitating basically means living together before marriage. There are approximately 6.5 million households of unmarried people in.
Okay, just based on that information, you're at your home, and now you have got to come up with questions, with also an activity. What comes to your mind just listening to just that bit of information really quickly? What topic do you want to have more information about? And this is going to be the end. Can't hear you.
What's their living situation, their personal living?
What are their personal living situation? Good. Any other questions? Yes.
What's the other family dynamics of people that's my classmates?
What are the family dynamics of the classmates? Good. Canvas is the place to be. Thank you so much for attending.